Hello everyone, welcome. Today I want to talk about conscience, about doing things with awareness. I'm sure you've all had the experience where you've driven past your freeway exit because you were lost in thought. Or you've had the experience where you were lost in thought temporarily, or something upset you a little bit. And then you put something somewhere, like let's say your keys. You put your key somewhere during that moment of upset, and then later you couldn't remember where you put it, which proves that you were unconscious. When you did it, you were unconscious because you can't remember what you did. So, do you realize that that's actually a hypnotic state? You've probably seen on stage where the hypnotist will hypnotize someone to do something, and it's usually something, fun, a little stage hypnotism act. And then afterwards, they can't remember what they did. Or they did it and they don't even know why they did it, so they made something up. Well, that's hypnotic trance. And that's exactly what you are in when you drive past your freeway exit without realizing it. When you put something and then later you don't know where you put it because you did it unconsciously. Well, most of us live a great part of our lives unconsciously, like that. Now, we weren't supposed to be that way. We were meant to live consciously with awareness. You've heard of things like wisdom, understanding. The only way that you can apply wisdom and understanding to some situation is with awareness. Because when you are aware, very aware, you are walking with conscience. See, conscience means with knowing. It comes from the Latin, with knowing. So you do things with knowing. You put your key somewhere with knowing. But, putting your key or a book or a piece of paper or an envelope, and then you can't remember where it is, well, that's not a big deal. You eventually find it. But how about when you're talking to your partner or to your child? If you do it without awareness, then what are you going to say to them? It won't have love in it. It won't have understanding in it. It won't have patience with it, because the only way you can have love and understanding and patience is with awareness. Because where does love and understanding and patience come from? They come from the inner light. They come from God, if you don't mind the religious parlance. They come from God through the person. Can you find wisdom and understanding in just thinking? No, because thinking is just regurgitating something you heard, something somebody said, or juggling different notions that you've been spoon-fed over the years. But where's the wisdom? Where's the understanding? Where's the love? It's not there. I'm sure you've had the experience of somebody talking at you instead of to you, maybe when you were a child. A parent or a teacher, some authority was making a little speech at you. They didn't understand what you were feeling or what you were thinking or what happened. Sometimes they totally misinterpret the situation. They blame you for something you didn't do, for example, and so on and so forth, because they don't have understanding. Why? Because they're looking into their brain for something that they heard or said or studied in school, or something that they've said many times over and over again. And so they're just using something they memorized. But it's not fresh. It doesn't come out of nowhere. Can you Do you remember when maybe you were with your parents, you were a little child, and you went somewhere, and it wasn't a big planned thing. You just went somewhere, and it was fun, spontaneous. It just happened. Or you were at home, and all of a sudden, something fun happened. You remember? Well, you can't make it happen. You can't plan for it. It just happens. It's beautiful. But I'm sure you can remember when your parents made a really big deal about planning something. They wanted to get it just right. They wanted to get the dinner just right. They wanted to get the thing, whatever they were doing, just right, and then it ruined it. Well, or can you imagine a butterfly suddenly floating by? It's beautiful. It's sweet. You can't make it happen. It just happens. Or you're sitting on your sofa looking out to the garden, and here comes a hummingbird to the flowers. It's so beautiful. You can't make it happen. And so these magic moments come seemingly out of nowhere. But you know what? They don't come out of nowhere. Somebody planned them. Somebody made them. Sometimes a mighty hand is fashioning such beautiful things. And in order for the magic to happen, you have to get your ego out of the way. But if you try to make something happen by reaching down into your brain to come up with something clever to say, then it always backfires. And even if it sounds clever, it doesn't have any love in it. So you want to do things with awareness, with knowing. And that knowing comes from intuition. It's wordless. It comes from within. It comes from from the inner light. So I always talk about the little meditation that I have. You begin the day with a meditation like that, where you get centered and you get a little mental distance. You stand back from thought. See? It's not a question of trying to blank thought or to think of some rosy or beautiful thought. No, it's just watching thought. Because when you're watching it, you're the observer, you're standing back. But when you're standing back, you're standing in the light. Now the soul, the conscious mind, was meant to function in the light. Because the love, the understanding, the wisdom, knowing whether to say yes or no and which way to go, that delicate guidance comes to us from intuition, from within and above. And so when you're looking into your mind, into something that you memorized or heard in the past and dredging that up, you're looking to the wrong place. When you look to some outside expert, you're looking to the wrong place. You see? You should be looking to intuition. And all you have to do is find it. Use the meditation, find it, and then walk in the light. It's that simple. Christ talked about the blind leading the blind. Because when you walk in the light, let's say you're walking along and all of a sudden there's a big hole in the sidewalk. You see the hole in the sidewalk and you just walk around it. It's so simple. But if you're walking in the dark, then it's scary, isn't it? Well, most people live their lives in the dark. Why? Because they look to the dark light of the imagination for answers. They look to the dark light of intellect for answers, or to other people for answers. But there's even more involved, and that is this: when you look down to your intellect for some answer, instead of looking within and above to intuition. How many times in the Bible does it say something like to cast one's eyes up? Christ often raised his eyes, it says in the Bible. So what are you doing? You're checking with your intuition. See, It's beautiful. So that's what you need to do, is find your intuition, use the meditation, find it, then walk in the light. It's that simple. And then then good comes into your world seemingly out of nowhere. But when you look down into the imagination for answers, why? Because you're functioning as an ego, as a pride. You're trying to save face, or look good, or appear clever, or prove something, see, or in fear, trying to avoid something. See how your ego is involved. Then the answers that come up there not only may be the wrong answer of something that you memorized from the past, which now is applied with the wrong timing, the wrong spirit. Worse yet, the guy with the horns. The guy with the horns. When he communicates with the soul, he does it through the imagination. Where do you think the dark thoughts come from? Scary thoughts, weird thoughts. Where do they come from? They come from the guy with the horns. And he operates through the intellect, through the faithless soul, who instead of looking to intuition looks to answers down there. It's that simple. Okay, so I think I've made my point. You need to be able to do things with awareness. So now can you see why it's dangerous to do things with unawareness? And when are you unaware? Well, like I said, when you're lost in thought, planning and scheming and worrying, faithless. Looking for answers in the mind. You know there's no answers there. When you sit there worrying, all you do is just go over and over the same thing over again. So can you see how you're looking to the wrong place? Then the wrong answer might come. The wrong answer. And so when you are operating unaware and you put something somewhere and you can't remember where you put it or what you did, that's a sure sign that what were you doing at that moment? You're probably lost in thought. See, lost down there. So not only do you do things without love, without understanding, which comes through awareness when you stand back and you're close to the light, and with wisdom, not only that, but when you do something, the impetus or the idea might come from the wrong source. That's right, from the dark side. We don't have to use the term guy with the horns, we could say the dark side. That's right. You know, maybe you can remember when you were a little kid, then all of a sudden something said to you, go ahead and, it was something dangerous or something wrong. Something said to you, go ahead, do it. Try it. Nothing will happen to you. It all of a sudden it came. See, so that bad source comes from down there. And if you're totally unaware, why you go ahead and do something dumb, you think it was your own idea. You see, so you need awareness. So can you see why awareness is super important? So may I recommend you get to my meditation. It's so simple. I have two versions. I have a free version, which is 8 minutes long. It's very beautiful. It's very nice. Maybe all you need. Then I have a 4-part meditation that's more elaborate, and it's beautiful. And that one is nice too. Either of them will be just fine to get you started and then use it. But you need that. You see, most meditations, I have to say it, they lead you into the imagination. Or they're for the wrong reason. They're for the wrong reason. For the reason of just feeling good or something like that. It's not good enough. But based on everything that I've said about falling into thinking, into the imagination, being unaware, looking down there, based on that, can you see why some meditation that encourages you to float away and on a dream stream, imagining a beautiful lake and swans on it, and you know, that kind of stuff? Or can you see why some meditation that has you chant some mindless mantra? Well, what is mindlessness? What is that? To just over and over chant something. That's a state of unawareness. It kind of blanks out the mind so that you are not communing with your intuition and receiving insight. See, I have insights all the time. All the time I have little insights. They're beautiful and sometimes big insights, but always insights because I'm always looking to my intuition. But if I was to blank my mind or keep chanting something, what is that? It's hypnotic. It puts you into that state where you're subject to what's down there. That's the problem. So you don't want that. You want the opposite of that, which is to be aware. To be aware. And then thinking will come from that awareness, flow from that awareness. See? So when I'm very aware, then I have an insight. Well, then all right, then maybe I speak as I am now. Or maybe I write. I've written, 22 books? See? So, but it flows from intuition. So I think I've made my point. Awareness is so important.